A city the size of London, squeezed into a glass wall in the desert, and it's already fighting to survive. That's not really compelling. But you see, in Saudi Arabia's empty northwest, workers are racing against time, money, and nature to build something no one has ever attempted before. The line isn't just another mega project, it's a 170-kilometer long vertical city shooting 500 meters into the sky with foundations buried 30 meters deep into unstable desert ground. Now you see, for months, rumors swirled that it had stalled, that the dream was shrinking, that the world's biggest construction gamble was already slipping away. But now NEOM officials have broken their silence, and what they've revealed is shocking. The line is still alive, pushing ahead at full speed, but so are the brutal engineering battles, impossible timelines, and human rights controversies that threaten to tear it apart. So, how far have they actually gotten done? And what's still standing in their way? Now, before we jump into the 2025 updates, you gotta understand the monster project we're talking about. NEOM isn't just a city, it's a whole new world being built from scratch. Backed by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund and personally championed by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, NEOM stretches across 26,500 square kilometers. An area bigger than Albania. Now inside NEOM you've got 5 key regions: Trohenia in the mountains, Magna on the Red Sea coast, and the islands of Sindala, the port city of Oxagon, and right at the heart of it all, the line. The line is the centerpiece. It's supposed to house 9 million people once completed, instead of a traditional city with roads and cars. The line will be a narrow corridor, 170 kilometers long, 200 meters wide, and 500 meters tall. Think about that for a second. The Burj Khalifa stands at 828 meters, but the line will stretch that kind of height sideways across half the country. Now also, there's actually no cars inside and no roads, just clean 100% renewable energy, and everything you need within a 5-minute walk. An even crazier thing is, 95% of the surrounding land will stay untouched, preserving the desert's natural beauty. But while NEOM's vision sounds like science fiction, building it is a whole different story. And in 2025, we finally got a real look at what's working and what's not. At the end of 2025, journalists finally got an exclusive boots-on-the-ground tour of the line's first major construction zone. And let's just say it's loud, chaotic, and massive, because right now about 10,000 workers are stationed at the site. More than 500 excavators and 4,000 trucks are grinding 24/7. Over 130 million cubic meters of soil have been moved already. Just so you know, that's enough dirt to fill New York City's Central Park up to 30 meters deep. Now it's not just about clearing land either. Workers are digging down 30 meters below sea level, battling constant water intrusion from the nearby Red Sea. In order to manage it, they've installed 500 dewatering wells, pumping out 90,000 cubic meters of water per hour. That's enough to drain an Olympic swimming pool every 2 minutes. And they're not just dumping it, the extracted water is treated and monitored 24/7 before being released back into the sea, protecting marine life and keeping salinity levels in check. And when it comes to the foundation, the numbers are just as wild. 6,000 piles have already been driven into the ground. Now these aren't small. They're between 1.5 and 2.5 meters in diameter and reaching up to 70 meters deep, and that's only about 40% of what's needed for Phase 1. So I guess the next question is, what exactly is Phase 1? Well, the first operational section of the line will stretch 2.4 kilometers, and it's going to feature 3 giant modules. Each module alone is taller than most skyscrapers you know. Once completed, this phase will offer 21 million square meters of built-up space, 80,000 residential units, and 9,000 hotel rooms, and all the essentials of a normal city: fire stations, police departments, schools, and retail spaces. Oh, and there's a stadium at 350 meters above ground, ready to host matches for the 2034 FIFA World Cup. Yeah, that's right. You could be watching a soccer game from a glass-walled stadium nearly half a kilometer in the air with views of the Red Sea stretching all around you. But, here's where it gets tricky. While officials are celebrating the progress, they're also quietly admitting that the full 170 kilometers will not be ready anytime soon. Originally, Saudi Arabia wanted 1.5 million people living in the line by 2030. Now, they're aiming for less than 300,000 by 2030. And the full build-out, it could take up to 100 years to finish and populate the line completely. So what's slowing things down? Well, 2 big challenges. You got complex engineering demands and human rights controversies. Now first, let's talk about how hard it is to build something like the line. Because you see, you're not just building up buildings in the middle of the desert. You're trying to build a vertical city taller than most skyscrapers on sand. And to make things even harder, the Red Sea is right there, right nearby. And that means water underground keeps pushing into the construction site. So it's basically a constant battle against saltwater flooding, soft sand, and high pressure under the ground. Now, to deal with that, engineers had to create one of the most biggest and powerful dewatering systems ever built. They set up around 500 wells, constantly pumping out water at a rate of 90,000 cubic meters every hour. Like I said, that's basically emptying an Olympic swimming pool every 2 minutes. And they can't just dump the water back into the sea. The water has to go through cleaning and testing first, to make sure it's safe and doesn't hurt the environment. But even after clearing out the water, the ground still isn't strong enough to hold up a city this size. So, workers are drilling massive support piles. Huge concrete columns between 1.5 and 2.5 meters wide, stretching up to 70 meters deep into the earth. Now those piles will be the foundation for the vertical walls of the line, and instead of building everything piece by piece on site, they're using giant modular parts. Some of these modules weigh as much as 5,000 tons each, which is heavier than a passenger jet. Even just moving around the construction site is challenging. There are thousands of trucks and machines working at the same time, so every single vehicle is tracked by advanced software. The system watches how far they move, how fast they go, and how long they stop, and figures out the best routes automatically. Now this has made excavation work 3 times faster than normal mega projects. Later in late 2025 or early 2026, when the foundations are ready, the real show begins. Workers will start lifting those gigantic prefabricated modules into place, almost like stacking massive Lego blocks, except each block is the size of a building. That is how they plan to turn 2.4 kilometers of empty desert into a real vertical city, and they're racing to make it happen in less than a decade. But technical problems aren't the only hurdles. NEOM's team has also faced major backlash over labor practices. In late 2024, allegations exploded that 21,000 migrant workers may have died across Saudi Arabia since 2016, many tied to Vision 2030 projects like NEOM. Civil engineering giants like Bechtel, AECOM, and Mott MacDonald have stayed silent, but the controversy hasn't gone away. Saudi officials call these allegations misinformation, but the damage to NEOM's global reputation is already done. Adding more pressure, activists are questioning whether NEOM's high-tech promises like health monitoring wearables for workers are enough to protect laborers from extreme desert conditions and high-risk construction environments. Now in response, NEOM leadership insists they're providing world-class accommodations, strict safety standards, and advanced worker welfare monitoring. But trust isn't built overnight, and for a project aiming to be the future of humanity, the scrutiny is only going to get sharper. Now another huge challenge is the clock itself. Saudi Arabia is hosting the 2034 FIFA World Cup, and NEOM has promised that parts of the line will be open by then. The current target is to have the first 2.4 kilometers plus major infrastructure like the marina, hotels, and stadium completed before 2034. Of course, to pull that off, every step has to run like clockwork. Officials already created 50 square kilometers of logistics land for contractors, housing camps, modular factories, and road networks that didn't exist even a year ago. And it's not just the line. Oxagon, the futuristic floating port city, is already operational. Trohana, the snow resort, is deep into lake excavation and village construction to host the 2029 Asian Winter Games. And Magna is hollowing out a mountain to create a luxury resort inside a massive cave structure, right along the Gulf of Aqaba. Each piece is moving, but every delay in one part could ripple into the others, putting the entire Vision 2030 showcase at risk. Now while the line grabs headlines, NEOM is quietly building the backbone of its mega economy. The newly expanded Oxagon port is turning into a major global shipping hub, right at the mouth of the Suez Canal. A new heavy rail line will connect Oxagon directly to the line, with future plans for autonomous freight systems to replace traditional trains. Now this kind of seamless integration, shipping, logistics, residential, entertainment, all powered by 100% clean energy. It's exactly what Saudi leaders hope will turn NEOM into the iPhone of cities, compared to old school Nokia cities. Even now, you can see glimpses of the future rising from the dust. So, will they really build the world's most ambitious city from scratch, or will the challenges be too heavy to lift? Well, we're going to be there covering every twist and turn, so if you want to stay ahead of the curve, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below, and turn notification on. You don't want to miss what's coming next.